now. And welcome back to the podcast. We're here to answer your Facebook questions as asked by you. We put a post up in the Mike and Savs discussion group. You ask the questions and we answer them. Just want to shout out to the Bella Vista Hotel for letting us hire this studio. Hit them up. We'll leave the links in the description. If you want to record a podcast for yourself or for your family or just for yourself, hit them up or hit us up and we'll show you how to do it. I'm joined by Jake, the coach of She's My Cherry Pie, and Mike, the coach of Trip Jack and Mafia, is on the line. How are you guys?
Yep, good. Ready to answer some questions?
Good, mate.
Yeah, I know we're already 39 minutes into the podcast, but this is the video component of the show. So let's get into it, lads. So the first question that we have you got them up?
Yep.
So we're going to do John Jeffries last. So we'll start with Rob Anderson. How much time have you got? Top 1,000 all season. Bad trades have got me at 1,200. Need Smith next week. Do I roll with Tino, save a trade, then move? I'm just going to reply to that in an inbox. That is very.
I've just gone over it quickly. I think Tino's a trade out this week.
Yep.
And he's got 7 left before this week, so I'm assuming if you lose 2, you have 5 left. That's still, I think, enough to get you through the rest of the season. So I don't think he should be tied on trades, I guess. But yeah, I'd be moving on Tino this week. For who we've talked about, plenty of second row options.
A lot of second row options this week. Madison, Jazz Tavanga, John Bateman.
Barnett as well.
Tohu Harris, yeah.
But if you can't get Smith, then I guess find a way next week to get Smith.
All right, Cameron Robbins, would you save a trade this week or hold it for an emergency? Have 6 left after using 1 this week. Possibility of going to the grand finals in a few head-to-heads leagues. Have 19 players starting this week, plus a reserve. Was highly considering banking a trade for future weeks, but also hopeful for a win against Mikey in the head-to-head cashy for minor premiership. So there's a minor premiership on the line. So
that's money, so...
There is money on the line. Mikey, what are your thoughts with this? Would you save a trade or would you go guns blazing trying to get the wins?
I'm going to answer this professionally and not do it just to try and get a win here because, this week too, I'm considering a few things. I want to have a good overall rank, but in the same time, I want to nail down some, first place because it's guaranteed money, especially in our cash comps. I think the strategy, it depends where you're sitting. So, example, with what he's saying, he's, fighting it out for first place in a few. I definitely think you need to go into this week with all guns blazing. So I had a mate that had a similar issue, and I told him, saving a trade is a good idea if you're certain to be in the top 4 or if you're not fighting for a position. It's the best thing to do in head-to-head because a lot of guys might have saved 2 trades and you're going to go in with 6. If you can save that extra one, it's going to really give you an advantage if we go, if a lot of injuries happen leading into the finals. So in your position, you're fighting for first. I think you need to strengthen up the side if you can. It depends what you want to do, but I definitely think if you're fighting for a first place spot, I definitely think you want to utilise that.
Yeah, I think one trade won't completely change your round. So probably save the trade if you're locked into the top 4 because that pretty much saves your trade for later for the bigger money rather than just the minor premiership money. You'll win the minor premiership money possibly anyway.
Out with me for first, if he's battling it out for first, I think that's also an indication not to save the trade because if your cash comp, or if it's ours, we pay money to first place. So I think you've got to really aim for first place.
Yeah. Johnny Renara, Munster versus Brimson for the run home. Sounds crazy, but I can see Munster being rested last game as per 2 last years. What are your thoughts on that, Jake? I actually think that Munster's probably a better buy at the moment. Brimson's had a good run the last few weeks, and he's probably overpriced at the moment. But, yeah, I feel like Munster, they're going to try and get his match fitness nice and good for finals and won't rest him.
Yeah, I think Munster's probably going to play out the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to rest him. Melbourne have a pretty easy draw, so it's going to be points. But AJ Brimson, the Titans have a good draw as well, and he has been involved in pretty much all their attack. So I don't mind the potting going Brimson, but it is dangerous of not having Munster, I guess. But if he comes out, Munster this week, re-hurts that knee, I mean, it's going to hurt a lot of teams. And
Could be early doors for a lot of people's season. Matt Drummond, best forward under 504k, AFB, Twal, Welsh. Mikey, what do you think? First name that comes to my head is Tyrone Peachy for 350k, named at lock this week.
Did he say front row?
I think he's after front row because all of them are front row.
He said best forward, so could be front row forward.
Yeah, let's say front row for that. For
I'm
those,
assume he's
go Mikey.
Yeah. So who are the three options you gave, or is he just after any option?
Fanua Blake, Twal, or Welsh, or do you have a better one that's under 504k?
Just having a quick flick now for you, just so we have something more to go off. But I've actually been looking at the front rows myself, and I think it's pretty much a wasteland, apart from your top guys. So I think if you should be looking at TKO, Carrigan, Clemmer. If you can get a bit more K, maybe you go a pot and go Papali. Papali's playing the Dogs, but Papali's actually scored a try in 3 or 4 games this year when he scored 90 plus. It's been against the top 4 to 5 sides. So, yeah, if for some reason you can conjure up another 20K, I'd prefer him. Otherwise, I think, you shouldn't be looking to go that trade there. Maybe Fisher Harris. If Capewell doesn't play this week, which I think he will, Fisher Harris might get some increased minutes, and he's at 458k. So that'd probably be one there, and Penrith are playing some weaker opposition. So if you really had to pick someone, I like Fisher Harris under 500k.
Well, I've got a couple. I think Fisher Harris is quite a good one, playing lock this week, so possibly extended minutes. But there are two here.
And Welsh.
There are two here that I've looked at. I think Welsh is out for mine, but there is Paul Vaughan, who's 497. He's playing the Titans this week, and he's
out.
Sorry,
sure. Isn't he? He's suspended with crush tackle. So
he is too.
That one off.
Well, that one's out. There was another one just here, and that's Jacob Safidi for 477. He's coming off 64. He's had a ripper season, but the problem with him is I'd trade him out as soon as his brother comes back.
I think his brother's back this week. I think he's back. Sorry to burst your bubble. I'm just going to quickly check. I'm pretty sure Daniel is back. What's Daniel? I think
even if he was back next week, you can't afford to waste trades. You've got to bring in guys that are either nuffies or that you're going to keep for the rest of the season. So that's why I don't like bringing in someone you're half sure about. Try and find a way to someone that you're happy to hold and play.
And correction, no, he's not. So Jacob Saifidi's starting. But still, yeah, like Mikey said, I don't think he's much of an option. There's not really any of the under 500k in the front row.
I'll tell you what I'll tell you what I would eye off though. If you can wait, I'd keep an eye on Andrew Fafita at 450,000.
Possibility to come back this week. I still don't think the minutes are going to be
his
there
name.
for him.
Yeah, I mean,
He's going to be an impact sub.
I mean, I'm just throwing up some options, but yeah, I think that it's a bit of a wasteland, as Mikey said. Let's move on from that one because we spent a lot of time on a front row, which is a wasteland anyway. Spencer Hicks, thoughts on Rudolph and Lolo to Sauce and Maguire? You mentioned Maguire early in the show, Jake.
Yeah,
really good trade in.
Yes, he's very much a pod. I think he's in 4% ownership, so he's very lowly owned. He does have quite a bit of upside with Lolo gone for 4 weeks. He could play 80 minutes. He's going to play anywhere for 65 to 80 minutes. So there's definitely points there. He's got solid base, does have an offload as well, and as well with Sauce, someone in that Penrith back line you're going to need for the run home, even two, and to say that even Brian To'o. So yeah, I don't mind those trades. Rudolph seems to have capped out, and Lolo is a trade out. So Sauce and Maguire is quite a good pod.
Sweet. Anthony Renee Cashman, hope you chose the cash option last week. I'm not sure which way we persuaded you, but hey chaps, bring in Maddo for Lolo, thinking is Maguire a good pod now with Lolo out, or should I get Smith, Crichton, McInnes, or Yo? Legends, thanks, Casho. Mikey?
Did you say he wanted to get Maddo or he wasn't sure?
So bring in Maddo for Lolo, thinking is Maguire a good pod now? So I'm not sure if he's thinking instead of Maddo.
Or possibly another
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, get Maddo out of all of those, yeah.
But if it's another trade, who would you get in?
I don't mind the Josh Maguire one. Like, I'd like to take a week, but we've said it many times in the year, a pod move could be jumping on a week early. Like, look at all the people jumping on Barnett now. would have been better to get on him last week. So I really don't mind the Josh Maguire trade. I think there's a lot of value in the second row, man. There's extreme amount of value. So, yeah, I think Josh Maguire's at the top of the list. Or if you're like a dual, Jake mentioned him before. I'm really keen on Brian Tua. Coming back from an injury, but he's someone I'm eyeing out for next week. I think, you know what I mean? He's a bit of a workhorse, and I see a lot of tries coming his way, especially next week against Broncos.
Yep, that's for sure. Tom McCann, considering trading out Stephen Crichton to Mansour or even Latrell. Do you like this trade, Jake?
No, that's very sideways.
I actually think Crichton is the better option out of them three.
Yeah, I think he's the better option out of the three for the next, say, 2-3 weeks. So,
Yep.
no, definitely.
I disagree, but he's playing the Broncos, so you would not trade him. I think Mansour is probably the better of the three, which he proved last week.
Stephen Crichton.
He's from your mob, Mikey.
Yeah, no, I know that's who you're talking about. You said out of Crichton, Mansour, and someone else.
And Latrell.
Yeah, so I said I'd probably prefer Mansour.
He's on crack. Ben O'Brien, who is the more must-have this week? Cameron Smith or BMOS or anyone else? Now, I think these are... I mean, besides Madison, if you don't already have him, I feel like these are the top two options for the week. Who's a must-have, Jake? Oh, actually, no, it's Mikey's turn.
Yeah, we've talked about Smith and BMOS earlier in the most trade, so we'll leave this one to Mikey.
So say that again. So the line's pretty shit.
Who's more of a must-have this week, Cameron Smith or Brett Morris?
Oh, if you had to get one of the two, it'd have to be Brett Morris purely because of the matchup. And he does have a break-even of 100, but I think if you're going to get Brett Morris, you want to have him for that Broncos game. He solely relies on tries, really. Like, it's his main thing there, and I do think Roosters will capitalise this week. So, yeah, if you can get both, I'd get Morris this week and then Smith next week. Because, you know, the risk is Smith could, you know, come back a little bit sore from you know, his injury. So I'm not sure, but I'd go Brett Morris.
Yeah, I really like it. I think as he's definitely a pod option as well. Like, he's not overly owned, and people are scared off him people are scared off him by the price as well. Adrianosaurus Rex, who's on top of the ladder leading into the finals in the Mike and Sav support group? Mike and Sav support group.
Must be him if he's saying it.
It's him, yeah. It's him. I've dropped back to 7.
I thought
it's him. I just checked. It's him.
Okay.
Oh, he's a bit of a brag comment there.
Yeah.
Comment was fine. Don't burst. Hopefully, he doesn't burst me or you in the final set.
Daniel Knox, Lolo and Ikavalu to Brett Morris and Sivo, or Mansour and Barnett. I really like Mansour and Barnett as an option, but Brett Morris and Sivo is quite a good one too.
Sivo is a very low price. He's under 400k, so it's a nice option. But he's what are you going 2 center wings?
I think at this point of the year, it really depends. If you're at the stage where the rest of your team is very good, I would be going the first option, the second option, Mansour and Barnett. But if you need to make up some ground, Brett Morris and Sivo is probably the option to go.
Yeah, both have much higher ceilings.
JC Charles, 6 trades left under after Lolo to Madison. Would you bring in the Dragons second row forward hook enough to match McInnes? And is Kotrick an option or hold out for BMOS? Noffo, Yeo, Crichton, Toa, Lomax, Sivo, Williami, Mike Gold since have... Oh, geez. Can you make out that question, Jake?
So he's sort of asking... I don't know. Hook enough... Yeah, no, I don't think
no hook enough.
So what? Yeah, I wouldn't say that for that. Is Kotrick an option? We haven't really talked about, or any Raiders back for that matter.
So well, Mikey has Rapana. He's been doing quite well.
Rapana's been good. Yeah, I don't rate Nick Kotrick. He scored a double and